Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nakia Smith, and I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for NC Counts Coalition here in Cumberland County. NC Counts Coalition is a nonprofit organization that serves as a hub to facilitate cross-sector coordination among government, planning and community organizations, service providers, businesses, and others to achieve a complete and accurate census count for North Carolina. We seek to engage all stakeholders and communities of North Carolina through empowering solutions and innovative ideas that will help shape a complete and accurate 2020 census count here in North Carolina. We aim to expand capacity and complement existing resources rather than duplicating them. We are a portal to collaborate, connect, engage, partner, mobilize, and share. And that is why we are here today. The goal of this meeting is to inform you, leaders and members of Cumberland County and beyond, of what this county has done in their census efforts, as well as educate you on the importance of the census to organizations just like yours. Finally, we will briefly discuss funding opportunities for organizations who may be interested in doing census outreach here in North Carolina. Lastly, we will have a question and answer at the end for any questions you may have. As questions may arise, you can put them in the chat box and we will address them at the appropriate time. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome everyone. Great to see your faces. I am joined here by the co-chairs of the Cumberland County Complete Committee, Rawls Howard, please wave, Dr. Anthony Wade, Sharon Covington, Partnership Specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau, and the Executive Director of NC Counts Coalition, Stacy Carless. We will begin with an update from the Complete Count Committee here in Cumberland County. We will hear first from Rawls Howard, co-chair of the Cumberland County Complete Count Committee, the 5 C's. Rawls is a certified planner who has worked in urban planning, community development, and land management for various local, regional, and federal organizations for the past 21 years in North Carolina, Florida, Texas, and Eastern Europe. We are lucky to have him as the current Director of Planning and Inspections here in Cumberland County. Take it away, Rawls.
Thanks, Nakia. Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate as a representative for the county. First off, I just want to say it's a pleasure seeing all of you and seeing so much engagement from the nonprofit community in our area. I also wanted to say thanks to Nakia, and especially a very strong thanks to Dr. Anthony Wade, who's been a real, just a true anchor throughout all this. But as far as the role of what's going on my end with the county right now is, as we go into sort of the field verifications of all the data, of the addresses and everything with the census, what I'm trying to focus on right now is just making sure that we can be able to reach out using the resources that I know of and have available to be able to connect Nakia and the census to the various small town mayors that we have. I know when a lot of people start thinking about Cumberland County, obviously Fayetteville is the big elephant in the room, so to speak. But we have 8 other towns and municipalities that are within the county that also have their constituent and representative populations that we need to make sure that we're reaching out to as well. Most recently, we reached out to the town of Linden in the northern part of the county, where I was blessed to have Dr. Wade join me and some of the staff to go out and talk with the mayor and some of their town board members to talk about how we can engage them in the census stronger out there, which I think we came up with some really good strategies. What we're going to be looking at now is I've tasked the towns or my staff to try to reach out to some of the other towns such as Stedman, Falcon, Godwin, and Wade in the northeastern part of the county to try to also engage their mayors and set up meetings so we can go out and talk with them as well. So that's pretty much it right now on our end. Other than that, we're sort of looking at sharing in the census. I'm sure they still have their machine that's still rolling right now with the deadlines that are in place of when the census is going to be complete sometime in the fall. But as far as the county is concerned, that's what we have going on right now. So Dr. Wade, is there anything that you wanted to add?
And I'll introduce Dr. Wade.
Okay.
Dr. Anthony Wade, PhD, is the Human Relations Director for the City of Fayetteville and Cumberland County, serving in that role since April of 2016. His professional career includes being a graduate from UNC School of Government's County Administration Program, time served in the U.S. Air Force, and president of the National Association of Human Rights Workers. He is currently the Human Relations Director for the City of Fayetteville. Go ahead, Dr. Wade.
Okay. Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be with all of you today, bringing greetings on behalf of the City Council of Fayetteville and also on behalf of the Cumberland County Complete Count Committee, along with my esteemed co-chair who just spoke earlier, Mr. Howard. And we've been doing some great work here. We got thrown off base because of a number of things, primarily COVID, and certainly some of the issues that have raised their heads after the following the death of Mr. Floyd, who was, of course, a Fayetteville native. So we've had a number of things that have interfered with our ability to normally engage with our community, but we have continued to move forward on that. I have been supported once again by an awesome group of city employees. Part of our Complete Count Committee includes Senior Planner David Nash, as well as Corporate Communications Director Kevin Arata. You've already seen some of our collaborative partners with Ms. Smith, Ms. Covington. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention as Kathleen Mickey. I do have that name right, Ms. Covington? Yeah, she's the manager for the area census office, and of course, Ms. Joanne Bass, who is involved with recruitment as well as with the group quarters management. So it's definitely a team effort, and teamwork makes the dream work, and we're moving right along. So to move through this, hopefully expeditiously, as of today, as many of you probably already know, nationally, self-response rate is 62%. North Carolina is at 58.2%. Cumberland County is at 56.4%. And Fayetteville specifically is at 56.2%. And because of the work done by, once again, Ms. Mickey and Ms. Covington and Ms. Bass, we're at 100% of our update leave. That was completed, I believe, last month. If not, yeah, okay. Ms. Covington's nodding her head, so I'm assuming that's correct. Our marketing outreach efforts, we've done a lot of work. Our first meeting that we actually held was in November of last year at the Crown Coliseum. We were joined by Ms. Carlos, as well as Ms. Covington, Ms. Bass, myself, and the county at that time was represented by the county library director, who Mr. Howard has come in and picked up the reins and has continued to move it along. And we've made multiple presentations since that time in our community to elected officials, community organizations, and they include, but aren't limited to, we've made 2 presentations to the Cumberland County Mayor's Coalition with updates on townships specific to self-responses. We've done that in person. The first meeting was in person. The second meeting was by Zoom, video conferencing. We've also done similar types of presentations to the county commissioners, the Fayetteville City Council, Town of Spring Lake, and Mr. Howard and I actually went out and met with the Township of Linden face-to-face. I also got to do some fun stuff. Me and Ms. Smith had an opportunity to engage with families with small children back in March. We participated in something that was a large event, which was known as Little Land, which was held at the Crown Coliseum by the county partnership with children. Had a lot of families and a lot of fun, and a lot of people didn't recognize me because it was the first time they didn't see me in a suit. So, but it was a lot of fun. There was a census drive-through event that we had planned to engage in along with Ms. Smith. It was a plan to have a caravan going through low response neighborhoods, and it had been planned for June the 5th, but once again, because of the events surrounding the death of Mr. Floyd and its impact upon our community as well as the nation at whole, the event was canceled. So most of our engagement has been through public service announcements and on virtual platforms. And we've been blessed to, that the county has done a great job. They've got a a great front page on their website, which has the logo for Complete Count Committee. And when you link on that, it goes directly to the county's content specific to information on the census. On our side, we've created a number of public service announcements, and they feature our elected officials as well as our Gen Yers, who basically are reaching out to our young residents. And I've shared some of those links with Ms. Smith, and are those available to be viewed at this time, Ms. Smith? Yay, nay, maybe? You're muted?
Yeah, it helps when I unmute myself.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I got you.
Okay. So I tell you what, let me step away from this time and we'll take a look.
All right.
Is there any sound related to that?
Is that any better?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else is hearing it. If everybody else is hearing it, it doesn't matter.
I'm
Yay,
ready.
nay?
No sound.
Okay.
In any case, there were three public service announcements. One was done by our mayor, Mitch Colvin. There was another one done by City Council member Shakayla Ingram, and there was a third one that were done by a number of individuals, to include Christopher Davis. I mentioned Shakayla Ingram, Johnny Dawkins, and our Mayor Pro Tem, Kathy Jensen. We appreciate their support. Certainly without local government being part of the team, this doesn't work at all. And their sponsorship and leadership has allowed us to expand our visibility. The one that I was really excited about, and I'm sorry we can't play it, is Young Residents, because it features 3 young individuals who basically are speaking to their generation, talking about why it's important to them. And they have a lot more traction than a guy my age does with that particular demographic. And as everyone knows, everybody's important and we want everybody to be counted. So I'm very appreciative for those individuals participating in what we're doing. The city of Fayetteville has also expended a fair amount of money. We've set aside, the city council set aside $25,000 for outreach. We've used that to get the message out and to create engagement on our broadcast platforms as well as our social media platforms. We've done it on multiple radio stations, whether that be Magic 106 or WKLM or WIDU. We've done it to reach out to our hard to count communities through paying for time on Univision, and that's outreach in Spanish specific to our Latino residents. We've also advertised in the Fayetteville Press, which is a historic Black newspaper, which is specific outreach to our African American community. We've done digital billboards out on Country Club Drive with Lamar Advertising. That's a blazing digital billboard, and we're very we get great visibility through that one. We've done coverage through WRAL, up and coming. We've done a host of things to ensure that the city's money is well spent, because we all have a vested interest in getting the best count out for our community, because we know that impacts a range of things, whether it be our political representation, whether it be our business and economic investment, and most importantly, how those federal funds are targeted and distributed to our communities, which impact obviously all of our community, but which benefits most importantly those individuals, those folks with the greatest need. So with that in mind, I thank you for the opportunity to be part of this discussion. and look forward to the continuation of our dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wade. We appreciate that update and all of that information. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Sharon Covington, Partnership Specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. Sharon is a native of Cumberland County and serves as a team lead and military liaison for North Carolina with the U.S. Census Bureau. Sharon.
Hi, I was trying to remember to unmute myself. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Nakia and Stacy and NC Council Coalition for putting together this opportunity to come to the public in a public forum and discuss the current operations with the census, because as Dr. Wade had mentioned earlier, you know, we've had quite a few interruptions to the process. This has been a most unusual census. And so I thank you for the opportunity. And again, I'm Sharon Covington. I'm with the U.S. Census Bureau. My position and program that I work in is the Community Partnership and Engagement Program, or we call it CPEP. My job is to work with the partners in designated communities. And because I'm from Fayetteville, I was lucky enough to get assigned to be here. And I'm so thankful because we have great partnership. We have a very moving forward community, and they understand the importance of a complete and accurate count for Cumberland County, as well as the overall for the entire state. Just to give you a little idea about the CPEP program, it is a nationwide program where we have partnership specialists like myself all across the country. And we at this time have over 370,000 partners in the United States who are all trying to move this census machine forward so that we can count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. And with that being said, the reason that we're trying to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place is because we have several different types of populations that we are working with. And with that comes the different operations that are going on. And just to give you a quick overview, because I know we have limited time, we have many operations, but one of the largest is the self-response operation. That is where the general public is engaged to respond about who was living in their household as of April 1st. And, you know, we all know that COVID hit and other, you know, civil issues have come up that have kind of slowed the wheels, slowed some communication, and kind of taken the census, you know, out of the forefront. So we're trying to bring ourselves back to the front so that we can make sure that communities are receiving their appropriate share of federal dollars. As Dr. Wade mentioned, it is so important for our communities. But our largest operation is our self-response, and that has begun again and will continue until October 31st. So I try to remind everybody, we got until Halloween to try to make sure we get everyone responding. So just keep that in mind. Maybe Nakia, we can get together and have some big Halloween bash, you know, as our last day, you know, good idea maybe here. And Dr. Wade had given those self-response rates, but just let me reiterate those, and I did put them in the comments section. But currently at our national level, we are at 62% response rate. That was as of yesterday. And so for our state of North Carolina, we're at 58.2. So we're a little behind the national average in North Carolina. And then we come down to our county level, and our county is at the 56.4, with Fayetteville, the city itself, at 56.2. So we're not doing a bad job, but we certainly want to improve those numbers and try to reach them as high as we can. Again, that's for the self-response operation of the program. And with that self-response, we also want to engage the community, and that's a lot of what Nakia has been doing, getting down into those grassroots level, meeting, talking, putting information out. my role has been to provide information and support and other opportunities as I can find them for our complete count committee, which I say to them, Dr. Wade, Rawls, Miss Jody Reichesher, who was on the complete count committee prior to retirement, and all the staff, city staff, county staff, Miss Sally Schutz, Miss Amy Cannon, all of these, the city council and our commissioners have just all jumped on board and want to move this forward, and putting the information out to the community. And that we want to share. We are now re-engaging that self-response. We will have census takers going into the community, knocking on doors, leaving, well, right this moment, not knocking on doors, but right now we're leaving census materials to encourage the self-response. We also have a program that if anyone's interested in, they can contact me. We have the mobile questionnaire assistance centers, and depending on whether we're on the suspense list or not, we can set up some tables outside of grocery stores, retail stores, county city office buildings, outside to encourage that participation. And that's an MQA. And that it works in conjunction with the self-response. The other large operation that's going on is the group quarters enumeration. That has restarted. That program targets populations who are non-related, who live in facilities such as group homes, nursing homes, our military bases where we have a large population who are living in the dorms, the barracks. That operation has restarted. And nationwide, we have over 400,000 group quarters that need to be properly counted. So we've got a large project there in front of us. So that is taking place and will continue. And then two other important operations that I just want to bring to the forefront for a close are our homeless or service-based enumeration. That's a very important population that we do need to make sure that we count. And that designated time period has been moved to September 22nd through September 24th. And so we'll be reaching out and engaging with the Complete Count Committee and you, Ms. Nakia, to get that operation moving forward. And then the next important operation is the transitory location count. These are people that are living like in RV parks, camps, hotels, and that information is a referral process as well as information that we're familiar with. So we're going to be doing that operation from September the 3rd through the 28th. So if you know of these areas, soup kitchens, places like that, let us know and we can make sure to have someone go out there and count those. And just as a quick reminder, because of the interruptions that we've had with the COVID and such, the Bureau is going to be sending out 2 additional reminders. We have one reminder that's already started going out to folks who have post office boxes. That information is going out to remind them that someone will be bringing a questionnaire by their house for them to complete. And then the next one is also in relation to the self-response. There'll be additional postcards going out July 22nd through the 28th to remind people to do their census before a census worker knocks on your door. So if you want to avoid the knock, complete your census, and you can do that in 3 ways. In conclusion, I will say the 3 ways that you can respond to the census are by mail, by mailing in your census. You can go online to 2020census.gov, and there's a response button right there that takes you into the census questionnaire, and you can complete it. Most people say it takes about 5-10 minutes at the most. And then you can also call in. You can call in to 1-844-330-2020. And we also have language lines available up to 12 language lines. And then we also have our materials printed in over 59 languages. So we got plenty of ways to get this census done. And I just want to say thank you to the Complete Count Committee, the community, Miss Nakia and Miss Carlos, NC Counts Coalition. You guys are fabulous partners with the Bureau. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. I hope I didn't go too far over, Nakia. I'll be glad to help with any additional questions if you have them.
You're fine. Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate that. We did get some questions in the chat box that Stacy and I were able to answer, but if you wanted to respond to them, that would be great. If you have any other questions specific to Sharon, Sharon, are you jumping off or are you going to hang around for the question and answer?
Oh, no, I'll be here. You just may not see me the whole time.
That's fine. So we will have a question and answer session. So if something comes up, you can put it in the chat box if you're like me and you'll forget, or you can answer at the end or ask at the end, sorry. Next, I have the pleasure and honor of introducing my boss, the lovely Stacy Carlis of NC Counts Coalition. Stacy is the executive director of NC Counts Coalition. She began working with the coalition in August of 2017 and is directing North Carolina's efforts for a complete, fair, and accurate 2020 census here in North Carolina. Stacy is an attorney and a member of the North Carolina State Bar. She earned her Juris Doctorate from North Carolina Central University School of Law. Stacy's commitment to service and her passion for protecting human rights led her to complete a certificate program in constitutional law and civil rights. In that program, she focused her studies on the 14th Amendment and the resegregation of public schools in North Carolina. Following law school, Stacy hung her own shingle and opened Carlis Law. There, she utilized her life experiences, legal knowledge, and passion for justice to advocate for clients in the judicial system. Stacy, take it away.
Thank you, Nakia. Thank you so much. And thank you for pulling this together. It's great to see, everyone. Again, working with Cumberland County. Sharon, it's always a pleasure to see you. Dr. Wade, Rawls, who had to jump off. But, we've been working with Cumberland County for a while. And so it's always a pleasure to hear about the wonderful work that's happening and, how the county is really holding it down and coordinating efforts to pull this together. So Nakia asked me to speak a little bit about the importance of the census to North Carolina and also about funding opportunities. And so when I do speak about the census, because I feel like most folks on this call will probably already know why it's important, I do just like to tie it into current events because I think sometimes that makes it a little bit more real for us. So speaking specifically with COVID-19, I can't think of a better way to tie it in. We're really seeing how government works right now, as well as the services and programs that government provides, right? We have unemployment at an all-time high. So when we start thinking about affordable housing or, when kids are currently or not now, but earlier when they got out of school, earlier on in the year in March or April, a lot of the concern was, kids who rely on school lunch or school breakfast programs, how are they going to get fed? All of these programs are actually funded with census guided funding. And North Carolina actually receives about $24 billion a year in census guided funding. And this also goes towards healthcare. So when we start thinking about some of these programs and services that members of our community, maybe they've never relied on them before, but they might be relying on them now. It's coming from census guided funding. And again, this goes for the next 10 years. Not only that, but, I've read several articles about how states are using census numbers to determine how many COVID-19 tests are needed in an area. And not only that, but, North Carolina, we're coming into hurricane season. And even though, we might be a little bit more inland, we typically get flooding in Eastern North Carolina. So when we're talking about disaster recovery and FEMA dollars coming into our communities to help our communities bounce back after some instance of tragedy, it's really important to have an accurate and complete census count so that one, emergency responders can know where people are located so that they can provide those services, but two, because FEMA is going to say how many people do we need to help, and they're going to put $1 to every head, and that's going to determine how much funding your community receives for any type of disaster or any type of recovery service. So, as we're plugging along and as we're making sure that our communities are safe and healthy and vibrant in response to COVID, let's also make sure that we uplift the message of the census, because when North Carolina bounces back from COVID, we are going to need this data. We're going to need the data and we're going to need the funding. And, I'm sure, Dr. Wade would agree that counties and municipalities cannot leave any money on the table right now. More than ever, like, we have to get every single dollar that that is owed to us. And I think it's important to say that is owed to us, because it's literally money sitting on the table. And the only way that we get access to it is if we have the numbers to actually correlate and say that this is how many people we have and this is how much we need for our community. So I'll kind of leave it at that in regards to of the importance of the census, but just something for you all to think about in your outreach work, whether or not you apply for grant funding and whether or not you take outreach on full time. Any way that you can incorporate the census message, the communities that nonprofits care about, whether it be education, healthcare, affordable housing, food security, whatever it is that your organization works on, I can guarantee you that the census impacts that and any federal dollars that flows into our community. So with that, I just want to talk to you all a little bit about a funding opportunity that NC Counts currently has. We opened up an RFP, I believe on the 1st maybe of July, it might have been about 2 weeks ago. And this is an opportunity for community-based organizations and nonprofit 501c3 organizations to receive funding to go towards census outreach. And the funding can be anywhere from $7,000 to $20,000. We have increased our grant amounts, and that's because we expect that a lot of our community partners may need to pivot towards digital outreach because of COVID. And so this funding is to support those outreach efforts. And, and I'll drop the link in the chat box so that you could see like more about what the requirements are, but it really is for small community-based organizations. And when we say small, we do look at the organization's budget. And so the last year's budget for civic engagement, we tend to prioritize organizations that had less than $500,000 for civic engagement. Not only that, but if you are a community-based organization and maybe you don't have your 501c3 recognition, that's okay. You could still apply with a fiscal sponsor. So please don't let that deter you from applying for funds. And so NC Counts Coalition, when we came up with our strategic plan in regards to how we're going to do outreach across the state of North Carolina, we did prioritize 15 counties where we thought there was a risk of a high undercount and where we really wanted to target our outreach. And Cumberland County is actually one of those counties. And so with this grant funding, and again, if you read the RFP, we've listed it in order. Folks who apply that will be doing outreach in Cumberland County will be prioritized over other census tracts. And if there is anyone on this call that is not from Cumberland County, that's not to say that you can't receive funding. It just means that if you're not within one of those 15 priority counties, then you have to really target your outreach into a census tract that is performing below the state average of 58%. So I definitely encourage you, whatever type of service you're currently doing, to take the opportunity and to tie census in some way and somehow. And I think Nikki is actually going to do a follow-up webinar next week that talks a little bit more about ways that you could tie your current outreach efforts or tie census into your current outreach efforts and ways that you could work with the committee. I think that's another really big thing is that we're really about expanding capacity and we don't want duplicative efforts. So we encourage you to contact, somebody from the Complete Count Committee, whether that be Rawls or Nakia or Ms. Covington or Dr. Wade, and just find out what they already have planned. Because if they're doing something, then we rather have you support what they're doing or do something else. Because again, the idea is to get as much coverage as possible. So, I always say many hands make a light weight. So, if we're all pitching in, it makes the initiative a little bit easier. The current RFP deadline, it is on a rolling basis. So we're actually doing our first round of reviews in about an hour. We'll go through that. I can tell you that I've already looked at the amounts. It is probably not even 100,000 of the 200,000 that we have allocated, as well as I just received some additional funding. So we'll probably be upping that pot anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. So it'll probably be close to $300,000 that we're giving out altogether. The deadline is every Friday. So the first one was last week, Friday. If you get it in by 6 o'clock, then we review it the very next week. If it comes in after 6 o'clock, then you got to wait for the week after that. So, if you put in your proposal by 6 o'clock this Friday, then it will be reviewed next week. If it doesn't get in by 6 o'clock, it'll be reviewed for the very last week. And as of right now, we are cutting off proposals on I think it's the 24th. And the reason why is because we're trying to get this funding out before enumerators go out, which is scheduled tentatively, I guess, COVID, considering all things COVID. But as of right now, it's the 11th for North Carolina. So this gives folks time to kind of get their, outreach out and about. Also wanted to follow up on Ms. Covington's Avoid the Knock. So we are going to be doing a statewide campaign that we're pulling together from the 3rd until the 8th, called Avoid the Knock. And Cumberland County will be one of our target counties where we will be doing a postcard mailing to census tracts that are primarily Latinx or Black African American. We haven't come up with the exact threshold, but households within those census tracts will receive a postcard with an image of the census envelope on the front, and it will just give like some quick facts as to why it's important. And then next to that image, it'll say, hey, the census is required by law. If you don't do it on your own, then chances are somebody's going to knock on your door. Avoid the knock. And that will go with some radio advertising as well as PSAs and some other outreach efforts. And like I said, I'm supposed to be meeting with the Rural Center as well as with the state government, the Complete Count Commission. And I've already been working with another partnership specialist, Elisa, to really make this a statewide campaign. And the reason we're doing this is because if you actually watch participation rates, it doesn't go up a lot. Like it might go up like a quarter of a percentage rate, of a percentage point. The only time that we actually saw a huge increase was Census Day, or, within that week. That's when we saw the big jumps in participation. But other than that, what we've been doing is monitoring some of our grantees and their outreach, and then going back and looking at the census tracts where they're doing the outreach to gauge how much impact there actually is. And as of right now, we're seeing the most impact is with earned media. And the only way that we're going to get the type of earned media that we got on April 1st is to do another statewide campaign. And so we're hoping that Avoid the Knock will help with that, and that we could go up a few percentage points instead of a quarter of a point. So with that, I will be on for the rest of the call as well. Like Ms. Covington said, my camera might go blank, or if you see me looking at another screen, it's because I have dual monitors, but I'm still listening and paying attention. So thank you again so much, Nakia, for pulling this together. And thank you to everyone on the call for the amazing and awesome work that you continue to do. We certainly appreciate your partnership. Sharon, I agree with you. October 31st, we should definitely do some type of Halloween, wrap it up. It's the last day of the year census. My birthday personally is November 1st. So I will be going to the beach for a week if I could find a COVID-friendly area to do that, to celebrate the end of the census and the awesome job that we're going to do at the last sprint. But yeah, again, thanks everyone for your participation, and I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Stacey. We appreciate that. Stacey, there is a question in the chat box before we get too far, from Don Williams. It's in reference to the budget.
So if your civic engagement budget is more than 700,000, but if your organization's overall budget is like more than 700,000, then no, don't worry about it. So for example, if you're doing GOTV, Get Out the Vote, and if your organization receives 700,000 only for Get Out the Vote, then that would mean that you're over the threshold, or if you do, I'm trying to think of like any other civic engagement type of activities, but it would have to be, typically it's going to be like get out the vote or voter registration drives. But if not, then you're good. Good question. And the door knocking campaign will begin on the 3rd, tentatively. So hopefully after Friday, I should have this in stone. But as of right now, we're planning it from the 3rd, which is that Monday, until the 8th, I believe, which is that Saturday.
And we're hoping to get you all on board so that we can all participate in that week. I already have a couple things in mind, or a couple things that we have planned for the week. So I'm hoping to get a lot more engagement from everyone here in Cumberland County. But before we go too far into questions and answers, I'd like to take the time to acknowledge Cumberland Community Foundation, giving a special thank you to the Innovative Program for Community Progress and Dr. Lucile Hutaff Community Advancement Fund of Cumberland Community Foundation for supporting 2020 Census community engagement here in Cumberland County. That was a mouthful, but thank you. Okay, so there's another question. So door knocking will begin the following week after the campaign. So I believe the campaign is August 3 to 8. So then door knocking begins that Monday. What's the date, Sharon?
You're talking about for the non-response follow-up to begin?
Yes.
Yeah, we've actually begun that, but it depends on whether or not the county is in suspension. And that's COVID daily rate increases from the CDC that we're getting. And Cumberland County is currently on the suspension list. So we're here, we're ready to do it. But, you know, we've got to wait and see if we come off that suspension list.
To Miss Ella Wren, avoid the knock logos. I know NC Counts is working on one that we may be able to share with you guys. Stacey, do you have any more information on that?
No, like I said, once I meet with the state, because I just want to get everybody's buy-in before we deploy, or at least so that we're making sure that we're consistent on how we're putting out information. We should have that information, but we do have a draft logo right now, as well as we'll be doing. So the postcards, we're actually going to turn them into like little club cards. So if you want to see those as well, and they're in English and in Spanish. We've already had one of our partners here translate them in Spanish for us. So we could provide that as well if folks are interested, like in passing those out or having them available.
Does anyone else have any other questions? We are looking to reschedule the car parade that we had planned for June. We're looking to have it during that first week in August during the statewide campaign. I just had to tell Dr. Wade and the rest of my team about it. Dr. Wade, you've now been informed. When is your webinar next week? It's same time, Tuesday at 1 p.m.
I just want to add that I told Nakia last night that when you asked me to introduce myself, I would just say, I'm Dr. Wade, I'm the co-chair of the committee, and pretty much I just do whatever Nakia and Sharon tell me. So I'm good. So.
Does anyone? Oh, thank you, Sonia. We would love to have that. We appreciate it. Yeah, if any civic engagement that you, or any census outreach that you are looking to do, I'm here in the community. I'll drop my email in the chat box. Feel free to reach out to me. That's why I'm here. We can come up with something that we could do together. I could forward you to some information if you need it. Just please, I'm here for you. And we definitely want to get this count up and out in Cumberland County. Any other questions? Going once, going twice, going to lunch. All right, so my email address is in the chat box. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or Stacy, or I can direct you to anyone that you need to speak to. Otherwise, I hope to see you next week. Please register for that meeting as well. And yeah, Thank you so much for your time today. Have a great afternoon.
Thank